do mega slow-mo. Welcome back to our limited series podcast, Sales Tax Peace of Mind. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here with you, Adam.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're here, Jason. I'm glad that I'm back. I missed my time out here, but we had Paul filling in for the seat, a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, 100%.
Heard he might go by Paulie though.
Paulie or Pablo, yeah. But I think he prefers to be called Paul.
Paul, yeah. Paul ultimately, got it. That's good to know. All right, sales tax wheel.
Sales tax wheel.
We've been through all this,
sturdy,
all six
rugged
pillars. Now, what I did here, and I liked out of the last episode, is that looks like these spokes. They're thick.
Six spokes.
Thick spokes.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you might see a 6-spoke wheel and be like, not enough spokes. But that's got enough. I had a BMX bike growing up, only had 3. And it did eventually break.
100%.
Did eventually break, so maybe you need to double that. I think 6 is gonna be the right amount.
6 is the right amount.
Now, let's recap a little bit.
All right, the 6 spokes of a sturdy compliance wheel when it comes to sales tax, gaining peace of mind, is first Nexus. You always start with Nexus. You gotta have a good understanding around Nexus. Make sure that you understand your footprint, right? And respond to that. You've got to have a great understanding of your taxability, spoke number 2. You need to know if your goods and services are taxable, and you need to stay up to date on that taxability, correct?
Got it.
And then the third one are rates. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of different rates across hundreds of jurisdictions in the US and Canada. And so you've got to have an understanding of what those rates are. And those rates change pretty consistently. So if you've got a good idea on rates, or you have a good solution to handle rates in real time, either in your system or an outsourced technology solution, you're in good shape. And then if you're not going to be collecting tax from a customer, it needs to be because your good is definitely not taxable, or they have claimed exemption, but they've provided you a certificate.
Certificate.
So spoke number 4 is a certificate.
There you go.
So you got to have a way to manage those and comply with the rules state by state. And then number 5 is once you've done all of this in compliance, you've got to remit those taxes that you've been collecting, right?
Oh, you got to actually give it to the state.
Give it to the state. You're an agent for the state. Really important. This is not your money. You're collecting it on their behalf. And if you're doing all of that correctly, you want to make sure that you remit it.
And make sure you give them the amount, the right amount, the same amount.
The right amount's got to be accurate and timely. And you should be in good shape. You should have peace of mind if you've got a solution that manages that. Okay. And then lastly, the 6th spoke is a really important one, your relationship with the state, right? You don't ignore the state, you don't ignore communications or correspondence from the state. You want to comply with the state as best you can, understanding that there's a lot of complexity and rules and the laws that are associated with sales tax, but you've got to do your best to try to be proactive in that relationship, or at least be prompt and responsive in that relationship when the state reaches out.
How often are you talking to a state about your sales tax issues? I mean, how many people could these states have that they really want to talk to a business?
Well, let's say you're registered in one state. Legitimately, you only need to be registered in one state. You might hear from that state from a notice or an update or some other correspondence, maybe once a quarter, maybe once a month in relation to your filings. So if you're registered in 40 states, then you might be getting 40 pieces of correspondence from different states across a month or a quarter. And so you're going to hear from these states. We talk about notices as one of those pieces of correspondence. Notices are really important because they're more active in sending notices or updates on their own legislation. And so you want to be aware of that. So you get a notice, even if you're in full compliance. A lot of times when we're talking with a company about our sales tax return process, they'll indicate that if that process is accurate, that they won't receive any notices. But we always let people know, no matter how accurate and how perfect your filings might be, you're still going to get notices from the state. So you just don't want to ignore those. You want to consistently respond promptly and proactively to any notice that you get for any purpose. Legitimately, you could run it past us and we could tell you, toss it or respond to it, right? Sometimes it's just an acknowledgement of a change in law. Well, you want to be aware of that, but we may already be aware of that. So you can toss that one. But if they're requesting anything from you, or they're indicating that you've not been compliant in some way, then you want to respond to that.
That's true.
React.
Now here's the piece. You said just talk to us. This is the craziest thing ever. When I encountered you guys It's not, you don't charge anything to talk to somebody, right? You even jump on a call with them.
Yeah, we do free consultations because we want people to have peace of mind. So our approach is interesting, I think, in comparison. I don't even want to say comparison to the market, but we're not a hard sell organization. So we want to talk to you. We want to learn a little bit more about your situation. We want you to learn a little bit about us. Ultimately, when you step away from a call with us, we want you to have more confidence and peace of mind in whatever decision that you're making or whatever direction that you're going. In fact, there was a period of time where you want to track reviews and you want people to leave reviews online. Some of our best reviews have been from people who don't utilize our services at all, but they got on a call, they had some questions, they were concerned about some things. We walked through it, gave them some peace of mind when it came to it, and they were more confident walking away. So we really want to educate. We also want to be your partner in helping you have the best spokes and the most rugged wheel. There's no doubt about that. I would never dismiss that. But it's not our intent when we talk with you and have a consultation. We really want you to feel confident and be confident in decisions that you're making. We don't want you to lose any sleep at night because of sales tax.
Oh yeah, I want to be sleeping like a baby, sleeping soundly.
You also want to be working with people or hearing from people who sleep well at night when it comes to sales tax because they know how to build these rugged
you
wheels.
don't just pass on your worries.
Yep.
They can actually fix it.
100%. And throughout this limited series, we've talked about some of the pitfalls, some of the complexity, some of the frustrations that companies face. We also don't want to lead with that. We're not leading with any type of fear or worry. We're really leading with that idea that we want you to be confident and have peace of mind. And so the conversation that we have and the information that we provide to you, no different than this guide, it's there to really help you understand the steps to really create the best system, or what we would call the most rugged wheel, to navigate sales tax landscape.
We got our wheel, all 6 spokes, sleeping well at night. What happens if one breaks?
So it's rare that one spoke would break, but it could get weak.
Or
it could break altogether.
Maybe never existed yet.
Right.
Maybe you're in a part, you're like, I got 4. 4 spokes is pretty good, better than my BMX bike growing up.
This is true. If you're on top of that system, you're aware of weaknesses that creep in from time to time. Let's say you have an automated solution, right? And part of an automated solution from a taxability standpoint is you're going to map your products to their system. Let's say their tax codes or their taxability has shifted or changed. Or let's say you've added new SKUs.
That's taxable, this is not.
Right, maybe you've added new products and you haven't mapped those correctly. And so it's going to a general taxability code. And that's happening in the system and you're not aware of it, right? This is why we say, if you set it and forget it, you might regret it. Because you can't just set it once, it's gotta have oversight and review. And so something like that could happen and you could be woefully overcharging tax, you could be undercharging tax, you could have a system that's set up for tax, but you haven't turned the tax on and let it know. Maybe you've established Nexus in a new state this year. And so you go ahead and get registered with the state, but you didn't go into the software and turn the tax on for that state. Right? You didn't acknowledge. So little things like that can creep up into the system and can start to create some instability in those spokes.
Cracks in your spoke.
Yeah. And so ultimately, it takes close review and oversight is the answer. But if perchance it breaks and you go a long period of time, what we find is penalties and interest, potential deficiencies in an audit situation. Maybe there wasn't something you were aware of. A lot of times when an auditor comes in, they're there to just help you do it right. They're really looking for underpayments. But in their effort to help you do it right, when they find deficiencies, you have found a cracked spoke, right? If they find deficiencies in an audit, then you need to have the processes in place to shore that up, right? Make some changes in the system to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Worst case scenarios are large responsibilities for penalties and interest or tax out of pocket. It could be the loss of a sale. You could be in an M&A transaction. Your nightmare comes to fruition that you have these significant liabilities that ruin the sale, right? And you're not able to sell.
Okay.
We have seen companies go out of business because of sales tax exposure. So you definitely want to keep an eye on the whole system, the whole wheel. If I fly, which I do a lot, I'm hoping that somebody's inspecting all the parts of the plane, right? I want to make sure that those wheels go in and will come back out when we're going to land. Speaking of wheels, And so I think the same thing. If you've got a great rugged wheel and you're hitting some rugged terrain, or you're hitting some jumps, or you're doing some fun things on that, then you're going to want to inspect those spokes. Make sure that the wheel is still stable and secure.
I mean, we've covered all this. There's a lot to it. Can be complex, depending on situation. A lot of the time when you're asking questions, then you end up saying, it depends.
Yeah.
What state are we in? Multiple states complicates things. So it seems that sales tax peace of mind doesn't happen by accident.
That's 100% correct, right? It can't happen by accident. It comes from proactive efforts to build the system that manages that. Sales tax has just become more complex because of Wayfair, because of the new laws that have been passed, because of the compliance that requires companies to do. You just have to be registered and compliant in more states than you ever had to in the past, right? And in that process, being compliant with one state has its own complications. Being in compliance with 10 states has more complications. The complexities really grow if you're needing to be compliant in 45 states, plus Puerto Rico, plus District of Columbia, plus Canada, plus the provinces in Canada. It's significant because all of the laws across all of those jurisdictions are managed by those jurisdictions. So their tax law is different, their forms are different, their Nexus rules are different, their rates are different, their taxability is different. You have much more complexity in managing that. So I would say you want to lean into automation where it works really, really well. Automation and technology platforms work phenomenally when it comes to taxability and rates. Also, certificate management. When it comes to returns, I think there's a lot of technology platforms that try to consult, and so they move into the consulting business. But when you're dealing with a sales tax issue or something's come up, you don't want to deal with a sales rep, you want to deal with a sales tax consultant, right? You want to deal with somebody who can give you some answers to help you feel confident about what they're saying in real time. And so it's, for us, it's a real marriage of technology where it works incredibly with human people oversight, making sure that those spokes are solid, right? No cracks. And you can manage the rugged terrain with these spokes in place.
So it sounds like I'm a business owner. I need sales tax help. I'm either talking to you or I'm watching this podcast, trying to figure it all out.
Or you're reading our guide.
Reading the guide.
Right.
The guide to sales tax peace of mind. That's
100%.
Right? Okay, yeah.
100%.
Work through that and help you actually start sleeping at night.
Yes. I also want to just indicate how easy it is to locate us and get to us. You would imagine the Sales Tax People is a long website name, the salestaxpeople.com, but that's not our website. Just sales.tax.
Sales.
You can reach us.
Tax.
And you can sign up for one of those free calls to talk about your situation or to talk about how to set up your system, your solution, and to have a solid rugged wheel.
You even got a live chat, right? You can talk to
100%.
Somebody who knows sales tax right then and there.
Yep.
All right. Sales.tax, right?
It is.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you so much. You're giving me a whole lot of peace of mind. I'm feeling way better about sales tax than I ever did before. Thanks for being here on our podcast series. It's been great.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.